Welcome to our album file series. Now I am presenting the Iron Maiden album to you. Enjoy listening. Iron Maiden's self-titled debut studio album was released on April 14, 1980. Following years of club performances and lineup changes by the band's founder and bassist, Steve Harris, this debut was recorded under the production of Will Malone. Although the band was not satisfied with Malone's production, finding it too soft, the album possesses a raw and savage tone that blends heavy metal with the energy of punk music. Paul Di'Anno's street-spirited vocals are the most characteristic feature that distinguishes this album from the band's later Bruce Dickinson era. The album achieved great commercial success upon its release, entering the UK charts at number 4. It is considered by critics as one of the purest and pioneering examples of the new wave of British heavy metal, NWOBHM movement. Music authorities have described the album's ability to melt both punk aggression and progressive rock complexity in the same pot as revolutionary. Today, it regularly ranks at the top of lists of the best debut albums in metal history. In the album, Prowler symbolizes the band's fast and energetic entrance, while Phantom of the Opera is accepted as the first progressive masterpiece of Steve Harris's songwriting talent. Running Free is the band's first major anthem-like hit. The song Iron Maiden, which gives the album its name, has since gone down in history as the invariable closing song of every concert, and the cult moment when the band's mascot Eddie takes the stage. The most striking musical moments are the twin guitar harmonies and mutual solos of Dave Murray and Dennis Stratton in the middle section of Phantom of the Opera. Additionally, the instrumental track Transylvania showcases the band's technical skill with Clive Burr's high-tempo drum attacks and Steve Harris's gallop-style bass lines. The sudden transition from a calm atmosphere to harsh guitar explosions in Remember Tomorrow is one of the most legendary examples of the band's dynamic range. Prowler. In the misty, dirty, and dimly lit streets of London, a hidden shadow prowls, tearing through the midnight silence. Prowler is the story of that uncanny stranger, hiding under the neon lights, unnoticed by anyone, but felt by everyone. As this character follows his steps like a predator, he symbolizes the corrupt soul of the city and the chilling passion of a voyeur who has stepped outside social norms. A pair of eyes at every corner, a breath in every shadow. This track tells of the morbid satisfaction a soul lost in the dark depths of the metropolis finds by watching the lives of others from afar with epic brutality. The song refers to the chaotic and unsafe street atmosphere of late 1970s London and the urban predator archetype. From a literary perspective, it is like a modern and metallic reflection of the malicious character wandering the streets at night in Robert Louis Stevenson's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. The expression night crawler in the song is a literary allegory representing beings pushed out of society who can only exist in the dark. The song opens with an iconic and harsh riff, starting with Dave Murray's legendary use of the wah pedal. Paul Di'Anno's punk style, raw and energetic vocal technique reinforces the street vibe of the song. Steve Harris's unique gallop bass lines give the song high tension and momentum, while Clive Burr dominates the track with straight and hard rhythms on drums. The harmonic structure in the guitar solos and sudden tempo changes showcase the characteristic features of the NWOBHM movement. Especially the acceleration in the middle of the song musically depicts the chase between the prey and the predator. Remember Tomorrow. This saga begins like the ghost of an old friend lost behind the mists. Written by Paul Di'Anno in memory of his grandfather, this work tells of the melancholy longing for the uncertainty of the future felt by a soul wandering through the dusty shelves of the past. The song is the internal monologue of a man watching the ruthless flow of time in the flickering light of the last candle burning in a dim room. As the silence of the night is shattered by the weight of memories, the act of remembering tomorrow turns into a paradox, because tomorrow has not yet happened, but the shadow of losses has already stained it. This song walks that fine line between a goodbye kiss and a cry of rebellion. The song is a tribute to Paul Di'Anno's grandfather. It focuses on the brevity of life and the inevitability of death. Original quote: "Silver ties, golden ties, the world will never be revealed." These lines express the helplessness of human worldly riches and ambitions in the face of death. The expression "silver and gold ties" contains an ancient sage's warning in esoteric language, symbolizing both the material world and spiritual bonds, stating that the mystery of life can never be fully solved by the human mind. The track is one of the peak points of Iron Maiden's early sound influenced by progressive rock. Paul Di'Anno's vocals begin with a mournful and whisper-like tone, transforming into a raw and angry punk energy in the choruses, displaying a tremendous dynamic range. Steve Harris's bass guitar forms the skeleton of the song. It doesn't just keep the rhythm, it drags the melody like a second vocal. The dual guitar harmonies of Dave Murray and Dennis Stratton create a dreamlike feeling in the atmospheric parts of the song, evolving into harsh and aggressive riffs during the tempo increase in the middle section. Clive Burr's drum parts add depth and technical sophistication to the track, especially with his jazz-inspired fills and snare usage in transitions. Running Free. This is the saga of a 16-year-old youth washed in the neon lights of the uncanny and dirty streets of Los Angeles, with no money in his pocket, but a soul unleashed from its chains. Our hero, who pushes away the rules imposed by society, tastes freedom by donning the darkness of the night like a cloak, away from police cars. Although the night, which starts in a dilapidated bar called Bottle Top, ends in a holding cell, his spirit never fits behind bars. This track is the anthem of that wild youth who carves his own path among masses of iron and concrete buildings, belonging nowhere but ruling everywhere. Rather than a literary work, the song refers to the rebel without a cause archetype of the 1950s and the concept of street justice brought by the punk aesthetic of the late 1970s. The chorus, "I'm running free, yeah, I'm running free," is the simplest and most powerful expression of the desire for freedom. The emphasis on 16 years in the song is a symbol of rebellion against the legal restrictions of being a minor. The track, which opens with Clive Burr's characteristic shuffling rhythm, reminiscent of tribal drums, is built on Steve Harris's dominant bass line that resembles a heartbeat. Paul Di'Anno's vocals at that time carry the ferocity and street slang of punk rock rather than classic heavy metal. The guitar riffs of Dave Murray and Dennis Stratton offer one of the purest examples of the new wave of British heavy metal, NWOBHM movement. Unlike Maiden's later progressive style, the song has a direct, energetic, and rhythm-oriented structure. Phantom of the Opera. In the damp and dark cellars of Paris's magnificent opera house, a shadow lives behind the mirrors. Eric, whose face is deformed and whose genius wanders on the boundaries of madness, silently watches his victim. This track tells how a man turns into a monster, not only physically, but also spiritually. The organ sounds echoing in the labyrinths under the stage are the melody of a morbid passion for the young chorus girl Christine. The Phantom of the Opera is not just a legend, but a tragic silence living in every stone of the opera house. It is the sob of a soul waiting to be loved, but met only with fear. The song is based on the 1810 Gothic novel Le Fantôme de l'Opéra, The Phantom of the Opera, by French author Gaston Leroux. The core theme of the work, the abyss between beauty and ugliness, is treated throughout the song. This quote from the novel reinforces the atmosphere. "I have seen the Phantom of the Opera." The song combines the tragic loneliness and obsession of this literary character with heavy metal aesthetics. Steve Harris's bass guitar forms the motor power of the track, with his signature gallop rhythm from beginning to end. Paul Di'Anno's vocals, unlike the Bruce Dickinson era, are more predatory, punk-influenced, and full of street energy. The song is in a progressive rock structure and is multi-part. It starts with fast riffs, slows down in the middle section to take on an atmospheric feel, and then reaches its peak with the twin guitar harmonies of Dave Murray and Dennis Stratton. Clive Burr's drum beats offer technical precision and high energy, especially in tempo transitions. Transylvania. On the steep and smoky peaks of the Carpathian Mountains, As the pale light of the full moon illuminates the Gothic silhouette of an ancient castle, Transylvania is the birth of an atmosphere rather than a note. The sound of horse hooves echoing deep in the forest, a shadow suddenly appearing through the mists, and an ancient restlessness rising from beneath the earth form the soul of this track. The song is an epic journey that drags the listener to the dark and uncanny Eastern Europe of the 19th century, that misty geography where legends are real and a predator or prey awaits at every corner. The absence of lyrics leaves the story to the mercy of scenes coming to life in the mind, creating the tragic rhythm of a dark romance. The song takes its name directly from the Transylvania region in Romania, where Bram Stoker's 1897 classic Gothic novel Dracula takes place. In the work, Transylvania is defined as the darkest corner of Europe's imagination. Although the song does not contain any lyrics, its composition refers to the uncanny air created by vampire mythology and the legends of Vlad the Impaler, Vlad Tepes, which are both eerie and intriguing. As an original quote, this passage from Stoker's work summarizes the soul of the song. "Welcome to my house. Enter freely, go safely, and leave something of the happiness you bring." Transylvania is one of the most characteristic instrumental tracks that Iron Maiden used to leave its mark on the NWOBHM, new wave of British heavy metal genre. The twin guitar harmonies of Dave Murray and Dennis Stratton form the main melodic backbone of the track, and this style of harmony laid the foundations of the Maiden sound that would become the band's signature in the following years. Steve Harris's clanking bass technique is as dominant as a percussion instrument in the track and adds immense movement to the song with its galloping rhythm. While Clive Burr's drum lines provide a perfect transition to variable tempos, the tempo increase in the middle section of the track pushes the listener into a pursuit on horseback. This work, adorned with a pure analog aggressiveness far from electronic manipulation, is proof that guitar riffs can tell a story like a vocal. Strange World. Contrary to the harsh tones rising from the misty streets of London, Strange World invites us into a neon-lit dream universe in the depths of the mind, where there is no gravity. This song is the story of a soul escaping the noise of the metal world and surrendering itself to the arms of melancholy and eternity. Our hero floats in a purple void, where time stops, faces freeze, and reality is merely a shadow. In this world, there is no pain, but deep loneliness and alienation prevail. It is like the final logbook notes of an explorer trapped in another dimension within a cosmos. Although the song does not directly refer to a literary work, it deals with the psychedelic science fiction atmosphere and dystopian escape theme of the late 1970s. The line, "Smiling faces, bright lights, mean nothing to you," symbolizes the individual's break from social norms and false images of happiness. This theme parallels the dream planes in H.P. Lovecraft's The Dream Quest of Unknown Kadaf, or Philip K. Dick's Questionings of Reality. It is one of the most unique tracks in the Iron Maiden discography. Paul Di'Anno steps outside his usual aggressive punk metal style to display a clear, mournful, and airy vocal technique. Dave Murray's signature legato flowing guitar solos are adorned with intense reverb and delay effects that add a misty air to the song. Steve Harris's bass lines stand out this time not for their speed, but for their depth and the way they fill rhythmic gaps. Clive Burr's drum performance supports the hypnotic structure of the song with light strikes and cymbal play, reminiscent of jazz tones. The song is one of the most characteristic non-ballad, atmospheric progressive rock examples of the NWOBHM era. Charlotte the Harlot. In the misty and gloomy East End streets of London, in an apartment at 22 Acacia Avenue, lived a woman who carried all the sins of the city on her back, Charlotte. The song is an epic narrative of the obsessive love felt for this woman and the desire to pull her out of the dark life she has fallen into. Under the flickering light of street lamps, Charlotte, who disappears with a different stranger every night, actually symbolizes the lostness of a generation and the souls excluded by society. While the narrator cries out for Charlotte to be saved from this dirty cycle, he is actually facing his own helplessness. This track is the story of how even the dirtiest love can be pure in a world where innocence has long died. The character of Charlotte is a fictional figure created by guitarist Dave Murray and is the beginning of a 4-song series in the Iron Maiden universe known as the Charlotte the Harlot saga. The address 22 Acacia Avenue in the song is a reference to the suburban culture and nightlife in London during the band members' youth. Instead of an original literary quote, it paints a social portrait of the underworld in late 1970s London. The song starts with Paul Di'Anno's punk-inspired, fierce and raw vocal style. Dave Murray's signature fluid and melodic guitar solos add lyrical depth to the aggressive structure of the track. Steve Harris's bass lines are in a fast and attacking structure, reflecting the energetic NWOBHM, new wave of British heavy metal, spirit of Maiden at that time. The tempo drop and melodic transitions in the middle section of the track are an early example of the band's future progressive metal tendencies. Clive Burr's drum rhythms keep the track at a high tempo, making the listener feel that chaotic energy in the streets.
Iron Maiden. In the darkness of a misty London night, this work echoes like a metallic scream rising from narrow streets. Iron Maiden is not just a torture device, but also the rusty and bloody embodiment of an inevitable fate. The song tells the story of an ominous figure inviting his victim into a dim room. This figure is both a monster and the wild voice of freedom. This raw energy bursting out of the dirty streets of the East End inoculates the immortal soul of metal into the listener, while trapping them in a steel cage. This track is a ritual that closes every concert, the narrative expression of that uncanny moment when Eddie first appears on stage. The song takes its name and theme from the Iron Maiden, a coffin-shaped torture device equipped with sharp spikes inside, which is claimed to be specific to the Middle Ages. This mechanism is an absolute machine of pain that ensures the victim is pierced from all directions when the lid is closed. Original quote, "Iron Maiden's gonna get you, no matter how far." This expression is both a tribute to the source of the band's name and a mythological reference to the inevitable power of metal. Steve Harris's signature galloping triplet bass line is the main locomotive of the song. The twin guitar harmonies of Dave Murray and Dennis Stratton lay the foundations of classic heavy metal aesthetics in the middle section of the track. Clive Burr's punk-rooted but technically deep drum rhythms give the song a fierce and unstoppable tempo. Paul Di'Anno's raw, street-like, and predatory vocal style perfectly reflects the uncanny and threatening atmosphere of the song. The accelerating tempo at the end of the song symbolizes the characteristic aggressive structure of the NWOBHM, new wave of British heavy metal movement.
We have reached the end of this episode. Hope to meet you again in the next album file. Stay well.